911, what is your emergency?
Hi, this may be strange, but, I was just at the supermarket and I was by this turkey section, and so, I saw a man, grab a turkey.
Okay, sir, can you please just get to the point? We are very, very busy here, and we don't have time for your turkey business.
No, sir, I swear it gets better. So I went over to the turkeys, and I saw that the person that grabbed the turkey served up to 12 people. And according to the CDC and to the different governors, we are supposed to have
10 or more people. I see what you are trying to say, sir. Did you happen to see what car the person was driving?
well, I mean, my eyesight isn't really that good, but I think it was a 1989 Oldsmobile.
Oh, yeah, we deal with that car all the time, and we deal with that person all the time. We definitely know where he lives. We will definitely make sure to give him a very, very special Thanksgiving surprise. Thank you so much for your service. And please, don't buy those turkeys. Make sure you throw them out, okay?
Alright, sir, I'll do that for you. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Kyle Dockery with the Dockery Docket. We are here with our very 50th episode of the Dockery Docket. I'm excited to be here, and I hope that you are excited to be here as well. So before we dive more into this episode, I wanted to explain that I understand that people are still dying from COVID-19. And in no way am I saying that COVID-19 doesn't exist or that people haven't died from it. I just believe that it is time to call out different people that have been hypocritical about COVID-19. Because I believe with my whole heart that is what they deserve. And now you may disagree, and that is 100% okay. With that out of the way, let's dive into this episode. So this week I want to admit something to you. This week and the following week and the past couple of months, I have been very, very angry at COVID-19. And if you want me to be honest with you, I would cut off both of my arms if it meant that there were no more COVID in the entire world. If I never have to hear the words COVID-19, coronavirus, face masks, social distancing, lockdowns, and the outrageous number of people that have died to this virus every single day, because my heart literally breaks for all those families, and I want people to live, then seriously, I would be extremely happy. Another thing that is making me very, very angry is that there are some politicians that have lied, that have been hypocritical or tried to gain politically from COVID-19. These people have not helped the situation with COVID-19, and it makes our country more and more divided. I believe that this country is more divided because of the lies that have been told. And one of the biggest lies that we have seen from the media and also other politicians is that COVID-19 is 100% Donald Trump's fault. They claim that if only Donald Trump would have locked us down in January, all of this wouldn't have happened. And if only we had a Democratic president in office when COVID-19 struck, then everyone would have lived. Now in America, we are starting to experience this once again. As America is experiencing an uptick in COVID-19 cases in states like New York, Michigan, California, and also other states around the country. This, of course, is Donald Trump's fault, correct? Well, when we look across the entire world, we see that cases are also rising in Europe, as Europe's cases rose by 33% last week, accounting for the greatest proportion of all new cases in the world. This was according to the World Health Organization. The point is, Donald Trump cannot be responsible for things that happen in Europe, and we are starting to see that cases are rising everywhere. Along with this, we are seeing every single world leader struggle to tackle this virus, and every world leader is trying to find a way to get over this virus or at least fight it. And it seems that the only way to fight this is with a vaccine, which on the vaccine front, there is hope on the horizon. As recently this week, there was a huge breaking news story. Pfizer, a drug manufacturing company who has been working with Operation Warp Speed underneath the Trump administration to get a vaccine out as quickly as possible, has reported that their vaccine is 95% effective. Woo! And that there are no major side effects. The company also said that the data showed that the vaccine prevented mild and severe forms of COVID-19. This is great news, as this may mean that we are starting to see a light at the end of the tunnel. Soon, all of this will be over, and we won't have to see the terrible numbers of COVID-19 deaths that are happening every single day. Let's get that vaccine ready to go. Now you might be thinking, wouldn't everyone be very, very excited about a vaccine? You might also be wondering what kind of low life of a human would be so upset about a drug that can actually save lives. Well, it was Andrew, I killed your grandma in a nursing home, Cuomo. He is so mad because he wants Joe Biden to be in office when the vaccine is ready to be distributed, not Donald Trump. In a recent interview with George Stephanopoulos, Andrew, I just killed your grandma in a nursing home, Cuomo, stated about the vaccine that it's good news, bad news. He continued by saying, the good news is that the Pfizer test looks good and we'll have a vaccine shortly. The bad news is it's about 2 months before Joe Biden takes over, and that means this administration is going to be implementing a vaccine plan. So Cuomo believes that Donald Trump's plan of distributing the vaccine is not good, and it won't reach everyone, especially the African American community. However, I think that there is something deeper that Andrew, I just killed your grandma in a nursing home, Cuomo, is saying here. If Trump delivers the vaccine, then he will get all the credit for it. This, to him, is 100% unacceptable and cannot happen at all. However, if Joe Biden is in power, and in Joe Biden's very first week as president, he gives out the drug that he had absolutely nothing to do with, then the media can spin it and say, wow, Joe Biden came in and delivered a drug, and people will give Joe Biden credit over what Donald Trump has done, and that is not fair, especially coming from the crowd that says Trump's economy was all because of Barack Obama, which of course is a lie. But anyway, it is just absolutely terrible that a governor would not be happy about a vaccine, especially because his state has struggled a long time with this virus. So he should be very, very happy that a vaccine is coming down the pipeline, because it will save lives in his state and also in the country. Well, instead of being happy about it and looking ahead towards a vaccine future, Andrew, I just killed your grandma in a nursing home, Cuomo, and other Democrats are planning on doing more restrictions that will more than likely lead to another lockdown. And I mean, it is just absolutely shocking to me how it seems that people are more excited about the lockdowns than they actually are about the vaccine. As on Tuesday, Governor Gretchen Whitmer was planning to make a big announcement, and Twitter was blowing up with different tweets like this, saying, "For the love of all things holy, at Gov Whitmer, put us in another lockdown now." Or like this one, saying, "Come on, at Gov Whitmer, lock us down." The problem is that the Democratic Party has claimed that the only way to make sure that COVID-19 doesn't spread and the only cure of COVID-19 is by lockdown. But lockdowns aren't always 100% good. As we know, there are a lot of psychological problems that people face, as according to the World Economic Forum, people who are quarantined are more likely to develop a wide range of symptoms of psychological stress and disorder, including low mood, insomnia, stress, anxiety, anger, irritability, emotional exhaustion, depression, and post-traumatic stress disorder. Low mood and irritability specifically stand out as being very common, the study notes. Now, I will be honest with you. I am against lockdowns, and this is not because I want people to die or that all I want to do is get a haircut, because just like everyone else, I want people to survive and to be healthy, but there has to be a better way than completely locking healthy people in their homes. To me, it just doesn't seem like a very good idea, and it will lead to more and more of those mental problems that I already talked about. Along with that, for a very, very long time, the left has been telling us, listen to the science, please listen to the science. Well, guess what? I've listened to the science, and the science says that lockdowns aren't what they are all cracked up to be. As Dr. David Nabarro, who is a part of the World Health Organization, said, "We in the World Health Organization do not advocate lockdowns as the primary means of control of the virus." He went on to say, "The only time we believe a lockdown is justified is to buy you time to reorganize, regroup, rebalance your resources, protect your healthcare workers who are extremely exhausted. But by the large, we'd rather not do it." So it looks like the WHO is against the idea of locking everyone up. They say that locking people down is a last resort, but having a huge lockdown for months or even weeks is not ideal according to the science. In other lockdown news, it seems that if Joe Biden wins this election, he will not want to lock down the country. As if you Google Biden lockdown, there will be loads of different articles saying that Joe Biden does not want to lock down the country. However, that is not what one of Joe Biden's advisors has said. As Dr. Mitchell Osterholm stated, shutting down businesses and paying people for the lost wages for 4 to 6 weeks would help keep the coronavirus pandemic in check and get the economy on track until a vaccine is approved and distributed. However, we already talked about how a vaccine is already being developed, and we do not need 4 to 6 weeks to get that because we already have it. Also, the government printing out money is not a good thing, as in the future we will have to pay it back. More than likely that will not happen, and that will hurt our economy for the worst. Now, I want to make a very, very bold prediction. I think that if Joe Biden gets into the Oval Office, he will instantly sign a mask mandate, which is unconstitutional, and then if that doesn't work, he will lock down the entire country. I'm just saying, watch it happen. There is another thing that the left continues to support, and that is the idea of mask wearing. Now, before we talk about this, you should know that my opinion on wearing masks has not changed. As I talked about this already in episode 34, wear a mask, no questions asked. You can go check that one out after this episode. Also, in that episode, I was very clear that I wear a mask whenever I am in public. And I still do that to this day. I know that they are uncomfortable, but we can do this. And we can continue to wear them. The problem here is that the left says things like, well, if you would have just worn your mask and listened, we wouldn't have needed another lockdown or more restrictions. Like in this tweet talking about the restrictions in Michigan, this person explains that most support her efforts to keep us safe. If residents were cooperating, we wouldn't need another lockdown. They don't like being told, especially by a strong woman. Defiance is why we're here. GOP, get some balls and stand up for sick and dying residents. Well, that was a garbage of a tweet. Now, personally, I have not seen this phenomenon of people in my local Walmart not wearing masks, as I have actually seen more people wearing masks than people not wearing masks, which is a very good thing. It is a good thing because we know that masks can help stop the spread of COVID-19, but we must remember that masks are not 100% effective. As if they were, we wouldn't even need to have any lockdowns because we would just wear a mask and that would protect us. Two things can be true at once. Masks can help prevent the spread of COVID, but they do not prevent the spread 100%. This is a huge misconception. And the fact is, according to UC Davis, a mask cuts down the risk of you getting COVID-19 by 65%, which means that you have a 35% chance of getting COVID with a mask on. Yes, this is a low number, but there is still a chance that you can get it with a mask on. So why is it that I'm bringing up all these different stats and numbers and whatnot? Well, it is because we need to call out some politicians and even the mainstream media for promoting this myth that you can just go out and protest or celebrate with a large crowd of people, and the defense is always, well, at least they were wearing a mask. So during the 2020 election, Donald Trump had massive rallies with thousands of people. Many people wore masks, but more people didn't. And like I said, there is still a chance that people got COVID from these different rallies. Trump does not get an exemption for this. The media called Donald Trump and his supporters out for this. The media called them super spreader events, and they were a bad thing to public health. So when Joe Biden, quote, won the election, there were millions of people that were on the street being shoulder to shoulder, shouting, singing songs, sharing a champagne bottle. The media definitely lit into these people, right? I'm sure that people with the likes of CNN, MSNBC told all these people to go back home and that they were being a super spreader and spreading COVID. And that also all of these news outlets blamed Joe Biden for causing such a terrible event. Right? Right? Well, not exactly, as the media actually celebrated people hanging out on the street. Here is a video montage of the media celebrating these people from Curtis Hoek.
So beautiful. Here it is November. It's unseasonably warm on this side of the country. You know, Sometimes during the campaign, you saw people all bundled up in coats. But I can't get over how warm. It's almost like Mother Nature was cooperating.
This is victory speech meets tailgate, George. We've never seen something quite like this.
There is also a sense of euphoria in this country.
I call it unbridled exuberance.
This feels like a victory celebration for a baseball team, a football team. It reminds me of Mardi Gras. If you've been to a parade, that's what it feels like, a big old celebration.
Look at these images. This is football season, right? This looks like Friday night in America after your favorite team just won the state championship.
You feel it. The joy is palpable out there.
Right away, people were running to this area. This has been the biggest dance party in Washington, D.C., I've got to say.
Almost kind of feels like New Year's Eve, you know, talking to people who are gathered outside.
It's like, Nora, the country's having a nationwide block party.
And it's actually happening all around the world.
Exactly,
not just
right.
here in the United States.
They are celebrating, they are dancing. People here are having a very good time, and Joe Biden will be able to enjoy a crowd.
People, you can feel the energy and the joy from people.
A sense of jubilation tonight, and that's why they're out in the streets.
And it's been going on all day long, all the way up several blocks.
They are singing despite the mask.
It's wonderful for her nation in this divided time to have a night like this where people seem joyous, at least for an evening.
And they're trying to send a message to the current president.
What a powerful moment for everyone in this country, regardless of politics.
Speaking to people today, VJ Day in Times Square, there's that famous photograph of the kiss in Times Square. There are people who describe a kind of release.
Isn't that just interesting that when it is Joe Biden that is having massive crowds in the street, that COVID-19 can't spread at all? And this just must be because Joe Biden believes in science or something weird like that. Also at these big rallies, there were actually Democratic politicians that were in on the action, as Chuck Schumer, the Senate Minority Leader, made an appearance, not wearing a mask and definitely not social distancing. And America's worst mayor was there too, Lori Lightfoot, who was caught on camera making a speech into a bullhorn without a mask, which then she would probably give the bullhorn off to someone else after she just spat all over it, and then another person would be speaking into it and possibly spreading COVID. Anyway, days after this happened, Lori Lightfoot came out and said, "While this is tough, and of course this whole year has been tough, we must tell you, you must cancel the normal Thanksgiving plans." This coming from someone who was just at a rally with hundreds of thousands of people. It is absolutely ridiculous. But wait, there's more. As Lori Lightfoot defended herself being at that protest by saying, "That crowd was gathered whether I was there or not." Well, with all due respect, Mayor Lightfoot, I think that for this Thanksgiving, my family will gather whether you are there or not. Seriously, these people think that you are stupid, but you are not. You know that they are saying one thing and doing the opposite. And it is not fair, as we saw the media just defend these people and then blame Trump supporters for spreading COVID. I mean, the hypocrisy here is absolutely crazy, as there seems to be two simple equations for this phenomenon that we are seeing all across the country right now. The first one being right-wing plus large groups equals super spreader events, while on the other side, it's left-wing plus large crowds plus masks equals everything is fine. The perfect example for this was the BLM protests that have taken place all through the summer. There is seriously an article that explains why the BLM protest didn't spread COVID. Want to know one of the reasons why? The article claims that the lack of transition likely has to do with the protesters being outside in the wind and sun, and most of them wearing masks. I mean, do you see the hypocrisy here, or am I just going crazy? Trump can have large rallies outside in the open air, just like these different protesters are doing. This is one of the reasons why Donald Trump called his rallies peaceful protests, because maybe the media would defend Trump's rallies just like they did the protests. And it is also just crazy because the only thing that's different between a Black Lives Matter protest and a Trump rally was a mask that we already talked about is not 100% effective in preventing the spread of COVID-19. All of this just makes me very angry, sad, and confused. The media doesn't have a standard and will continue to blame Trump even when he leaves office. The vaccine will probably not be distributed, Joe Biden will make a national mask mandate and lock down the country, and the media will just accept all of it. And if a Democratic politician parties on the street with thousands of other people, so what? The media will just cover for them. All of this can be very discouraging and very disheartening. However, in the end, we are all trying to get over this virus the best way that we can. We, the American people, have done a lot. We have worn masks. We have socially distanced ourselves. And we have suffered through a lockdown. Many people have suffered more, as some have lost businesses that they have tried so hard to create. Some have lost jobs that they love and understand that they are not coming back. We have a record amount of people that are struggling with mental disorders like depression, and some have turned to alcohol and drugs. And of course, we cannot forget about the thousands of people that have lost a loved one due to this virus. And that is what is truly heartbreaking. What we must remember is that the cure cannot be worse than the virus itself. This is why these lockdowns need to end. We need to focus on the vulnerable in our society. This means distributing the vaccine with those people in mind, so then they can be protected, and the younger people can go out and work with a mask, of course. And hopefully soon, all of this will be over very, very soon. So I just wanted to thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Dockery Docket. And until next time, like my mom always says, be good, be kind, be loving, goodbye.